Hey everybody, welcome back to Let's Talk. My name is John, and today here on the channel, we're going to be talking about 1996's Twister and its brand new Warner Brothers 4K Steelbook that just came out. Before we dive into that 4K Blu-ray review though, I also like to give a quick film review, and today is no different. So if you want to know nothing about Twister and you're just here for the 4K Blu-ray review, you could skip ahead to that right now. So Twister was directed by Jan De Bont. This came out in 1996. It stars Hellen Hunt, Bill Paxton, features Philip Seymour Hoffman, Cary Elwes. You also get Todd Field, the director of Tar, in this movie. Alan Ruck, who also previously worked with Jan De Bont on Speed. So this movie just features a really stacked cast for what could just be a throwaway disaster film. But Jan De Bont knows how to direct these kind of films. He also knows how to really shoot a movie. Before he became a film director, Jan De Bont was one of the best cinematographers. This is the same guy who shot Die Hard, so he knows how to shoot a movie. And Speed was basically just Die Hard on a bus. Speed is one of my favorite 90s action films. Twister I don't think is as good as Speed, but Twister is also a fantastic 90s action film. And honestly, the first film I think of when I think of Bill Paxton, despite the fact that he's in some of my favorite movies of all time, including The Terminator, and he always works with James Cameron, I always think of Twister. I don't know why, probably because this movie was just on all the time while I was growing up. Even though I probably saw this movie about 30 times because I just felt like it was always on, I haven't really watched it that much recently. So this is probably the first time I revisited Twister in probably like 7 or 8 years. I didn't even have the previous Blu-ray. So it kind of actually felt pretty new to me revisiting it this time. Hellen Hunt, who is the main lead in this movie, who plays Joe at the beginning of this movie. It's 1969, and this is one big plot hole with this movie. It's not anything that takes you out of it because, yeah, at some points it is still just a cheesy 90s action disaster movie. But at the beginning of this movie, you know, there's a big tornado coming, an F5. The only one of the group of people in this movie who's ever seen an F5 tornado is Joe, played by Hellen Hunt. You know, she's a kid, so it's not played by Hellen Hunt in the beginning of the movie, but they have to go down to the storm cellar, and the father thinks, okay, oh my god, the tornado's getting close. I can hold the cellar door closed, and he's like, I can't handle it, and then, of course, he blows away and dies. The thing is after he blows away and dies, and the tornado is right over the cellar, the mother and daughter are just fine, so he could have just done nothing and hung back with them. So I just don't understand his thinking. You could have just hung back with your daughter and wife because it looks like they did just fine. It was barely windy where they were, a few feet back from him. So that just kind of stood out a little bit to me. But Hellen Hunt is not an actress who I absolutely love. I never have really loved her work. This is by far the best film I think she's ever been in, at least for me. She's really good in As Good as It Gets, which won Jack Nicholson an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor, and also won Hellen Hunt herself an Academy Award for that film. So many people probably think that As Good as It Gets is her best film, but I really think it's this movie. And it's funny because they didn't even want to hire her for this film because she was really an unproven actress when it comes to big budgeted films. And then on the other side, you got Bill Paxton. Bill Paxton, he used to be married to Joe. He used to be married to Hellen Hunt at the beginning of this movie. After, you know, we jump forward into her in regular time, you know, we're in the Dodge Ram. He's there with his now fiance. We find out quickly that they're heading to Oklahoma because Joe hasn't signed the divorce papers yet, and they're just going to do it in person. It's tornado season. These guys are tornado chasers. Bill Paxton used to be one of them. He's kind of gotten out of that life. He's a weatherman now. He's settling down. He wants to get married to his second wife. But Joe, because of what happened in her childhood, all she really cares about is chasing tornadoes, and she wants to find a better warning system so what happened to her family doesn't happen to any other family. That's why they invented the Dorothy, which apparently she was working on with Cary Elwes and Bill Paxton. Cary Elwes plays the corporate-funded tornado chasers, not like the group of ragtag tornado chasers that feature Philip Seymour Hoffman, Alan Ruck, Todd Field, and a bunch of other guys. No, he's got the corporate funding, he's got the money, he has his own Dorothy that, of course, he pretty much ripped off from them. You know, Bill Paxton, the second he gets there, despite the fact, you know, he's kind of standoffish, he really falls right back into that life because that is his life. He cares about chasing tornadoes, and he still cares about Joe. But really, it's Joe who still cares about Bill Paxton. She wants him back. her aunt points that out to her early in the movie too, that like, you still love him. And it's funny, you never really see it from that perspective. You always see the guy chasing the girl, but this is the girl who sees her husband who got away from her, about to marry another woman, and she wants him back. And if you've never seen the movie, I'm not going to spoil how that ends, but I think you can figure it out. But the real big thing about this movie, despite the interesting plot, and I do think the plot is pretty damn good for a movie like this, again, a disaster movie, you're just there to see the tornadoes. You don't need a really good plot like this movie actually has. I really appreciate the plot for this movie, but the tornadoes are why you're there. And despite the fact this was done by Industrial Light and Magic, and, you know, they can be shaky at times, even though they are the leader when it comes to special effects, especially in the 1990s. This is 1996, and the CGI is actually really good. It's not perfect. There are times where the tornadoes will look really shaky and you're like, okay, that doesn't look that great. It kind of takes me out of it. And when we get to the 4K Blu-ray review, we'll talk more about that. But they still do a great job, and I really do appreciate the special effects. It does actually kind of get you wrapped up into the story. It doesn't take you out of it often. And like I'm saying, the plot is really good. The story is really good. The characters are well developed. It really features a stacked cast. Philip Seymour Hoffman, one of our greatest actors of all time, plays a small role in this movie, and he's always game to do no matter what the role is. He'll dive into this, he'll dive into Boogie Nights, he'll show up in Along Came Polly, and then he'll just win an Academy Award. So the guy was one of the greatest actors ever, and in this movie, he just looks like he's having a blast like everybody does. It's a fun 90s action movie that I can highly recommend. I do think that this is either the best or the second best disaster film of all time. So it's definitely one I can recommend, even if you don't want to check it out on this 4K Blu-ray that we're going to talk about right now.
Cow, I gotta go, Julia. We got cows.
So here it is, Twister on 4K Blu-ray, coming out at the perfect time with Twisters coming out on July 19th. I actually can't wait for that. The special effects looks like they have improved, and I'm really excited. You know, this is the kind of movie that probably should have got a sequel. I don't think many people were that connected to the characters. Yes, the characters are great with Bill Paxton and Hellen Hunt, but you know, you were there to see a disaster movie, and you got a damn good one, and this feels like a great movie that could end up with a great sequel many years later, despite the fact, you know, we're going to change most of the characters. I assume we'll have some callbacks, but I'm getting out of line here. We're here to talk about Twister from 1996 and this 4K Steelbook. It did have a standard edition, but I opted to go for the 4K Steelbook. When in doubt, go with the Steelbook, and that's what I did in this case. That's the words of Lord Raiden for you. And when you come inside, it's just a one-disc set, so that means that this one disc will feature all of your extras, and it will feature the film, and the extras are actually pretty good on there. They're not that great, but you have a good interview with Jan De Bont, you have a commentary track, you have an old making of that was on HBO way back in the day. That's pretty cool. It's about 15 minutes long. You also have a looking back on Twister and its legacy. You have a Van Halen music video. So the extras are decent. They're not anything that are going to knock your socks off, but they are decent. So I did appreciate them actually including some extras. But most people are here for the visuals and the audio. We actually got a Dolby Atmos track, which is rare for Warner Brothers, and they didn't give us a Dolby Vision. So it's pretty strange that we got the Atmos track, but we didn't get the Dolby Vision. So it's a whole thing there. I'm not entirely sure why that is. It just has HDR10, but the audio was fantastic. And this is exactly what you would have expected. And, you know, Jan De Bont's last film, Speed, which came out in 1994, already had a 4K Blu-ray release. And I actually think that 4K Blu-ray is awesome. And this one is actually very comparable to that, especially in the audio department. It's not the greatest Atmos track I've ever heard, but it's a damn good Atmos track. Really well mixed. Everything comes in crisp and clear. And this movie, which features a lot of, you know, tornadoes, so you know you have things moving around all the channels, really appreciated that. You didn't have to turn your volume up or down because the dialogue is actually mixed very well. So you know, when we do switch to dialogue heavy scenes, it's fun. You don't have to turn it up or lower it when the special effects get a little bit too loud. So I really appreciated that. I thought it was a very good Dolby Atmos track. And then the thing that blew me away the most was the visuals. It's not a perfect 10 out of 10 in the visual department, but this movie has never looked so sunny. The only notes I actually wrote down were the Dodge Ram never looked so red. The movie itself Ralph never looked so sunny, and Dorothy never looked so shiny. So it really was a pretty big visual upgrade from the movie that I remember. Like I was saying, I haven't seen it in about 7 years, but I always remember this being a very cloudy looking movie. And yes, it is a very cloudy movie because there's a lot of storms, but early in the movie, I don't remember it being that sunny. So I actually thought that was pretty well done. The HDR10 was doing a great job. Now, I don't really have anything to compare it to, but it was a noticeable upgrade from every other time I had seen this film. The colors really pop off the screen. Now, there will be moments where it will look a little soft, especially in the very last scene of the movie. You'll notice that it's just a little bit soft. Now, that could just be, you know, the camera itself. Maybe that was by choice. Maybe it was an accident. It's not a big deal. Because one thing I do love about this movie is we start in with a helicopter shot, and then at the very end of the movie, we fade out, and the camera goes back. So we came in for the story, then we just came right back out. Really love that. This movie, I think, is shot awesomely, so I think they did a great job with that, and I think it really lent itself amazingly to the 4K Blu-ray format. And it's funny, when you look back in the world of physical media, Twister was actually one of the earliest DVDs ever released. So when it comes to physical media history, Twister is a pretty big deal, and thankfully it continues in its great history with a pretty damn good 4K Blu-ray. Is it one of the best of the year? Absolutely. Definitely one of the best studio releases. Warner Brothers, I don't think, phoned it in on this one. Yes, they didn't give us that second Blu-ray disc. Maybe the United Kingdom got that, but we didn't get that here in the United States, which is always disappointing, but it is what it is. For the one disc that we got, it is fantastic. I would have liked a little bit more extras, but the packaging is great. I can't compare it to the standard edition, but I do absolutely love the Steelbook. This is a great release. I can highly recommend it, especially if you are a fan of Twister. I would give Twister on 4K Blu-ray a 9 out of 10. It is also Tuesday. That means it's time for our digital code giveaway. This past Friday, I asked you guys 2 digital code giveaway questions. All you had to do was answer one of those in the comment section. As long as you did that, you came back to this video right here. I put your name on a magic wheel. I spun that wheel 2 times. The 2 names it lands on, they have their choice of the digital codes that you've seen on your screen before you today. I asked you guys, what was your favorite Eddie Murphy movie and what was your favorite action comedy? I believe that actually Trading Places or Coming to America won out, but we had picks for everything, such as The Nutty Professor. Obviously, we had some Beverly Hills Cop fans in there, which I always really appreciate. So we got a bunch of different answers for that. And then action comedies was all over the place because that's a pretty wide-ranging genre, so you would expect that. And just to stop rambling on, let's spin this magic wheel and see who this week's 2 lucky winners are. And there you have it. Go Dodgers and Blu-ray Collector 18. Both of you guys have won in the past. Actually, Go Dodgers, you know, he'll show up randomly. He'll just show up and win and then leave. He's a very lucky guy, Go Dodgers. And congratulations to both you and Blu-ray Collector 18. So you guys know how this works. Reach out to me at my email address, letstalkentmt@gmail.com. Let me know which of the digital codes you want. As long as the other winner didn't take it, that digital code is all yours. And I actually have 2 codes for Twisters. So this week, you guys don't have to rush. And for everyone else who entered into the digital code giveaway, I really do appreciate it. Thank you guys all so much. Make sure you guys come back to this Friday's video where we will do it all over again. And we hope you guys enjoyed this video. And if you did, don't forget to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, turn notifications on, share this video if you could. We also have channel memberships. We have a friends of the channel tier. We have a producers tier where you're going to find Jan De Bont, Jason Martin, and Mr. Smelly Potato. And we have a directors tier where you're going to find Frank from Frank's Media and Reviews. And make sure you guys are subscribing to Jan De Bont and Frank's Media Reviews YouTube channels. They're great as well. But if you got no money to throw away, don't you worry about it. All we hope is that you enjoyed this video. And if you did, get out in those streets and tell your friends about us. And then we'll be seeing you around.